Well, Oregon is rolling, and you want them to look like a complete team going into this final stretch of the season.
Yeah, they're becoming dominant at the perfect time of the season.
Welcome to Saturday versus Sunday. I'm John Barbin. With me is Jeff Dover, and let's talk football.
We're a couple of average football fans that watch college the NFL. We hope to earn your like and subscribe today. This is our review of the Oregon-Minnesota game. What are your initial thoughts?
Well, Oregon is rolling, and you want them to look like a complete team going into this final stretch of the season.
Yeah, they're becoming dominant at the perfect time of the season, right?
Yes,
That's on defense and offense, and they're ramping up at the absolute perfect time going into the playoffs, or like a couple weeks away from the conference championship games.
Right. So so this is our reaction to the game, obviously, but the comments aren't going to be, or what I want to talk about isn't specifics really per se. I mean, they're just better than Minnesota. Like they're, no matter where you want to look in the box score, it's totally, Minnesota's just overmatched in this game. They weren't going to have a chance. Now to give Minnesota some credit, and PJ Fleck, he gets everything out of that team.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And it was, no, and you're right. They were just mismatched across the field, personnel, offense and defense.
Mm-hmm.
The Dante Moore was a very precise 27 for 30 for 300 yards and 2 TDs. Never didn't really need to make use of his legs, which he's done in the past, like when he's needed to get a first down. It didn't really need to do that too much. Kenyon Sadiq being back is huge for them because he looks like just an absolute beast. And multiple running backs would average over 8 yards a carry. So it's any way you slice it, they were really dominant.
Sadiq is, man, he's a freak show.
He looks awesome.
Oh my
God,
looks
he's
terrific.
I feel like he missed some time, but I want to say he's getting better every time I see him. Like, I feel like when he's playing, like he's improving each game.
Yeah, if he stays healthy, I know he's technically a tight end, but Jesus, he plays like a wide receiver.
Yeah, he moves like a wide receiver, but he's big like a tight end. It's amazing.
He's the new Kyle Pitts.
Yes, exactly. It's a great comparison. I was thinking the same thing.
Now, Oregon fans, I'm referring to college Kyle Pitts, not the NFL. It is not living up to expectations, Kyle Pitts. Like right now, Sadiq is probably the freakiest physical specimen of a tight end in the country. Also, one of the freakiest physical specimens at any position in the country.
No, and this is something we've talked about before. When you have a really good running game, having a really good tight end just puts a lot of pressure on the defense because it's hard to cover the tight end and stop the run game. And that was really apparent in this game. Like when there was a couple times where they would run the ball and Minnesota's really selling out to try and stop the run because and they ran for so many yards. And then when they do the play action, the defense is completely out of position. And when you have, trying to catch up to Sadiq as he's coming across the field or something, that they just can't do it.
And Minnesota, even though Minnesota was overmatched in this game, this team, PJ Fleck they've won 11 games. He's had this team winning 11 games in 2019. Last year, they had 8 wins. In the past 6 years, or the time Fleck has been there, the COVID year notwithstanding, they're perpetually a bowl team and multiple 9-win seasons. So if you're not careful as one of the top teams in the Big Ten, you could easily drop a game to Minnesota when you should have won. So the fact that Oregon just took care of business here, and it was no doubt, there was no doubt here across the board. Maybe it goes without saying, but Minnesota to me is one of those teams where they're not a pushover. Like that's one team you should beat, but you really have to show up with your lunch pail typically to beat them.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. They don't beat themselves. They're really well coached. That was the note that I had here about the game. There's a lot of games we watch in college, the NFL, where the penalties really get out of hand, and there's people just going offside, ridiculous holding, ridiculous pass interference, targeting, and even though there was like a handful of penalties for both teams, it didn't look like they were beating themselves. Like they were, they're just trying to do everything they could because Oregon's pass rush was getting home. Like Minnesota jumped offside a couple times because you're on the road, like that's normal. But they didn't make. They were a well coached team, and that's a really I think that's characteristic of PJ Fleck's teams.
Yep. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say here. It was just total domination, 510 yards to 200. And out of those 200 yards, half of them were Darius Taylor, who from scrimmage, you expect this guy to get 100 yards a game from scrimmage. He had like 1,300 yards last year. Like that's who, this guy is one of the best running backs in the conference. So the fact that half of the offense came from him is not surprising between running and receiving.
Yeah, Darius Taylor is a really good player for Minnesota. He was, like you said, is almost half the offense. But to me, he was, it's hard to say, but he was a little outshined, I thought, by Jordon Davison, was a really good running back for Oregon. And if it wasn't for Sadiq, I'd say he was one of the best looking players on the field. Nothing against Taylor.
Well, and I would say Noah Whittington. I mean, he had the most rushing yards for Oregon. Davison looks great. I think he's a rookie. But Whittington,
freshman.
What did they say? It was his kid's birthday, and so there was two, I don't want to say controversial plays, but there were two. Whittington on that amazing run where he goes into the pile and somehow emerges on the other side of the pile and then fumbles the ball at the goal line and then recaptures it in the middle of the end zone, then fumbles it again on the way out of the back of the end zone. And I thought, what is with these goddamn running backs? I know, can't keep their hands on the ball.
As soon as I saw when it went out in the end zone, I was like, oh man, I knew Barban was going to be pissed about that. But when they showed the replay and you saw it coming out before, I didn't catch that live as it was happening. And I was like, oh man, if this gets turned over, you're going to be pissed. I was looking forward to that on the pod. But then after they reviewed it, I guess he had enough control of it in the end zone that it counts as a touchdown. But yeah, that's so brutal.
I still don't and he was purposely changing his grip on the ball going over the goal line. I think he was just getting ready to showboat like they all do, where they just sort of drop it. I think he was getting ready to showboat. I don't understand why running backs continue to do this bullshit. Like, it's one thing to do it in college. They're doing it in the NFL. Two guys have done it in the NFL already this year. So it's just, I don't understand it. I don't know why oh my God. Anyways, I've had it. I hope Whittington has learned his goddamn lesson, because you can't do that bullshit against a better team.
No. If you're in a one possession game, which a lot of the playoff games or conference championship games are going to be, and if you had a score overturned or something, like that would be an absolute disaster. So
like it should be when you carry the ball into the end zone, you hand it to the ref. Like you're not done until you physically hand it to him. None of this dropping it bullshit. I mean, oh my God, it's just infuriating when I see that, because there's no reason for it besides showboating.
Yeah, no, exactly right.
And then
the other point about handing it to the ref too is it means you'd have control of it the whole time until you hand it to him, right? Like that's the.
I mean, Jonathan Taylor did this garbage last year.
Yeah.
Now he doesn't do that anymore. And then A.D. Mitchell did it on the Colts, and I can't think of the guy's name who did it on the Cardinals. But I'm like, you're a professional. This is how you earn your money. They're going to cut you. Like they're going to kick, maybe not Jonathan Taylor. Mitchell's not on the team anymore. They traded him. And whoever the guy was who did it on the Cardinals, his name escapes me. You're not that important to the team. If you're going to, and they lost that game to the Titans because of that. Anyways, I know I'm straying. I'm just Whittington. You have to be better than that. You are an awesome running back. Don't ever do that again. All right. And then the other one was the touchdown catch in the end zone. It was toe in, was his knee down. It was, I guess they called it a touchdown, so it was too hard to overturn it.
Yeah, that looked like it was pretty clear the leg was down but I mean, we've talked about that before, but the difference between a toe and a heel going down, whether that counts as a touchdown, is pretty ridiculous.
And this is another one where the guy in the booth is like, oh yeah, they're for sure overturning that. And then they're like, exactly. And the play on the field is upheld. And okay, here we go again. That nobody knows. Knows. I think again, in neither case, if he fumbled it through the end zone and they called that, and if this was not a touchdown, nothing would have changed. It would still have been a blowout.
Yeah, I
So
think that I love that always cracks me up when they go to the former ref in the booth and be like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is what it is," and then they're wrong. It really shows you as a fan like how subjective a lot of this stuff is. Like
yeah,
they're trying to that's the big argument for like the video replay to get it right. You know, it's like we have the video, like let's get it right. And then that was a case where like you saw the leg go down and but it's still subjective, right? So it's
yeah.
crazy.
All right. Well, I mean, Dante Moore, holy smokes, this guy. He's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the country.
What's great about this is that going into the season, everyone thought like he showed flashes of being really good at UCLA, and they're like he should fit in this offense like really well, and it's just great to see it really working. You know, like that
Hmm.
was when there's it doesn't always work like that. Arnold Auburn is like that. Like Jackson, you know, like they thought, oh, going in like this could be really good, like a good matchup with offense in this team, and sometimes it doesn't work out. So it's just so great to see. Like he's really talented. It's hard. I can't believe he completes over 70% of his passes, and he. I think he even improved that this game because he went 27 for 30. But it just fits that so well and fits the the offense they have, and good for him. Like the really hitting his stride with his team.
Yeah, and he completed passes to 10 different receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, obviously the running backs are included in there, but 10 different people caught a pass from him. So
Right, and that I don't know how many of that would have been from the backup because the backup went 3 for 3 too, right, and sort of the garbage time at the end. So there's
oh
a
yeah, yeah. Well,
yeah,
maybe one or two, but
yeah,
10 different guys caught a pass. I'm sure most of it was him. I mean,
yeah.
27 for 30. This is essentially a perfect game.
It
Like
really is.
he pitched a perfect game.
Yeah, and I remember one of the incompletions. They always said that if they were going to do press coverage, he's just going to throw like the fade toward the sideline, and he completed it the first time, and then the second time the ball was right there, and it really felt like he got pass interference, and that to me was the only reason why it was an incompletion. So
Yeah.
it's not like those incompletions were like way off either. So
Do you think that Moore doesn't get enough national attention for how good he is?
yeah, I think that if you were an Oregon fan and you live on the West Coast, I think that's sort of inherent in their bias that people always
Mhm.
feel like because millions of people don't see a lot of the West Coast games, depending
Yeah.
on the way it's structured. And so I think if he was, playing for Ohio State or something like that, you could make the case that he would get more attention versus
Yeah.
than like at Oregon. But, I think that could change with the Big Ten championship game or like going far in the playoffs.
I mean, this game started what, 9 p.m. Eastern?
Yeah.
So I'm not a lot of I mean,
No.
obviously any college football like diehard's going to watch whatever college football's available, but that's pretty late just to
Yeah.
start a game for East Coast
No,
viewers.
they've got ratings that show that that's not, especially since it wasn't, and again, no offense to Minnesota, or Darius Taylor, but it was like there's an unranked team, so like
Right.
it
Yeah, yeah.
wasn't like a ranked on ranked matchup either. So the ratings in general are lower for like those late
Mhm.
games on the East Coast.
Yeah, well, I mean, for those who aren't paying attention, they've got one of the best in the country, easily one of the best. And he just, when you see him, he just looks like there's just no emotion, which is
Yeah.
what you want.
Yes.
I don't know if that's even an odd thing to say, but you don't want. He doesn't show anything. He's just a straight line right through all of it.
Yeah, and that's a good thing because you don't want to get too
Yeah.
high or too low because there's going to be some great plays and there's going to be some bad plays. There's going to be some missed calls, and so you just kind of like it's like each rep you got to be, you're trying each rep, each play to do something to execute. So that's a good trait. It's like with major league pitchers, like if they're you
Hmm.
strike someone out or you give up a home run, you kind of have to be like, I'm just doing it's trusting the process, and
Next play.
so exactly. So yeah.
And another good point you brought up was he didn't have to do too much on the ground with his legs. You got to keep this guy healthy. He
Hmm.
pulled up a little bit lame in the Iowa game on that long run. So we want to keep his body healthy as possible going into this last 2 games here because the next 2 games are going to be tough.
Hmm.
They get USC at home, and then they finish the year at Washington,
Hmm.
which it doesn't matter what's going on with Washington's record this year. That lately has been a problem
Hmm.
going to Washington and beating Washington there. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously. To me, Oregon's the better team than either of those two.
Hmm.
But these are 2 of the tougher teams that on their entire schedule,
Hmm.
and they're finishing with 2. I mean, they have to win both of these games, I think, to get it Maybe not both to get into the playoffs. You know what? That's the question. Do you think they can split these two and still go at 10-2?
That's a great question. I think part of it depends on what happens. So at time of recording, this is Saturday. The USC Iowa game is coming up today, right? So I think if USC wins that, and then Oregon loses to USC next week, but then wins their last one, I think that the chance of them getting the playoffs is reasonable. I think if USC loses and then they lose to USC, I think that hurts more because it takes away the loss, like the quality of the loss. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I think that's an important game today, the USC Iowa one. Yeah.
So really the mission is win out.
Oh yeah,
like 11-1, 100%. We know they're in at 11-1. It's just whether or not they're in at 10-2,
and likely in the Big Ten championship game, right? With that too. So
at 11-1,
yeah, if they win the next two,
no. If Ohio State and Indiana hold serve,
that's true. One of them has to lose. Yeah.
Well, they lose the tiebreak to Indiana. Right.
And they never played Ohio State, right?
No. So if they go 11-1, they still need help. Doesn't that sound wrong?
Yeah, it does.
You go 11-1, you still need help to get it, not to the playoffs. I mean, they'll be in the playoffs, but to get into the Big Ten championship. It
does seem.
But I mean, it's just the one of the two top teams is the only one they've lost to. So if Indiana and Ohio State hold serve, they can't get in because of that loss to Indiana. But playoffs are still in front of them, and then whatever else that's really now that's the goal. It's almost like getting to the championship game. Your conference championship game is a nicety, but not a necessity.
Yeah, and that's something that I think Lane Kiffin was sort of made popular last year, right? Because you could make the case about if you can get in the playoffs and don't have to play in the championship, in your conference championship game. Like some people look at that as a good thing or almost like an advantage. But yeah, but they're in a good position.
Yep. So I mean, if they don't want to leave it up to the committee having to him and haw about multiple 10-2 teams, Oregon's job here is clear. Like win out, you're in the playoff. 100%, you're in the playoffs. So and they're completely capable of doing that, right?
Absolutely.
So, I think if USC shows up, if USC and Washington both bring their A game, and Oregon also brings its A game, Oregon wins both those games.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's really good that it's the USC ones at home. I think that's at Washington's a tough one, like in the road environment, but like getting that USC, I think that's going to be an important one. Getting that at home is going to be really good.
You think though? I don't. Okay, so on paper, that's the tougher team from a roster standpoint.
Yeah,
from just 4 and 5 star talent.
Yeah,
but in recent history, Washington's more of a problem team for them.
No, I get it, but I just think that in watching it, they're not as having like they're 6-3 right now. Like they're fine. Like that'll be a tough game. But I think just having the USC one at home for Oregon, I think it's going to be big. And then
it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. That's Oregon looks really good. They look like a playoff team, and they look like they're getting healthy at the right time, or at least as many people as they can get back at the right. Moore looked healthy, right? That part too.
Yeah.
And it's all in front of them. They just got win out. You're in the playoffs.
Yeah, and they're peaking at the right time. Like that was you have to take care of business. Again, this is a good team, and there's some really good teams out there that lose the games that they shouldn't lose and stuff.
Yep.
Louisville sort of looking at you, and it's that's probably not a fair comparison, but I mean it's like they took care of this team, and that's what you're supposed to do. That's what championship caliber teams are supposed to do.
Yeah. You put them away. Yeah,
exactly,
and you leave no doubt. Okay, so I don't know. Does everything on your notes?
Yep.
All right. So if you're still with us, we appreciate you checking out the channel. We know it's small. We just started it last year. So if you like what we got going on and you'd like to support us, a like and a subscribe would go a long, long way, and we'd super appreciate it. So for Jeff Dover, I'm John Barbin, and that's your Saturday versus Sunday podcast.